morning, and welcome to day 3 of the Republican National Convention. I, for one, can't wait to see J.D. Vance speak tonight. Once again, we will start with our generous sponsors, who have allowed us to put on such wonderful events this week. First, I'd like to introduce Jason Greb with Enbridge.
Good morning, everybody. Jason Greb with Enbridge Energy. How's everybody feeling this morning? Late night last night. Ready for another day? Yeah, I want to introduce you. Enbridge is really happy to sponsor the breakfast this morning. We've been a proud pipeline company operating in Wisconsin for over 70 years. We provide a vital link to energy for all Wisconsinites. Just as a reference, 3 out of every 4 gallons of gasoline that you pump are delivered on an Enbridge pipeline. So we have a project called Line 5, maybe somebody's heard about it. And we are working diligently to get the permitting through the state of Wisconsin and start construction of that hopefully next year and provide 700 jobs to Wisconsinites. So we're very excited about that. We appreciate your support of that project and the vital energy that you need. And before I wrap up, as a sponsor, I just wanted to commend all the delegates here today. And it really is commendable that you take the time away from your family, your jobs, and spend an entire week to represent your community, your state, and your country. So hats off to you. So thank you very much. And have a great rest of your convention. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Enbridge. Now I'd like to introduce you to Robert Fundmaker with Ho-Chunk Nation representatives.
Welcome and good morning. My name is Robert Fundmaker. I'm a Ho-Chunk Nation legislator from Wisconsin Dells. I've been a lifelong resident of Wisconsin Dells, and I get to represent them. My district covers the southwestern section of Wisconsin, from the Dells down to the Iowa border. So we also have District 1, which is the northwest district of Wisconsin, and that's one of our representatives is Rodney Ray from District 1, Black River Falls. Another one of our districts is in eastern Wisconsin, and we don't have a representative here today, but our District 4 covers all of our tribal members that are outside of Wisconsin, and that is our representative, Paul Fox. We have over 8,000 tribal members that are in those areas and that we represent, and that is our base, and that's what we do. We try to do what we can for them and trying to develop what we can for them and deliver services for our tribal members. And we're very honored to be able to participate in the convention this week, and able to help sponsor this breakfast. And we are also would like to thank the treatment we're getting at the Potawatomi Hotel. It's awesome there, and they're treating us very well. So I didn't win yet, but I'm going to keep trying. But thank you all. Have a good convention.
Good morning. Me again. All right, having a good time? All right, I'm happy to report that you are all still secure. Anyone feel insecure? That might be a different conversation. No, everybody have a good time last night that went? All right, how about those buses? Well, never tell a trooper it can't be done, right? No, nothing updated for today. I'm sure most of you heard about the officer-involved shooting yesterday. That was outside of the zone, in a park, had nothing to do with RNC. External officers from out of state, Columbus, Ohio, were the ones that fired. They're being taken care of right now. We'll wait for that to go over, but as far as RNC and what it pertains to you, there's no worries, nothing to worry about. So continue on your day as normal. Transportation update, it does sound like transport from Fiserv back to the hotels. They are running a shuttle from Fiserv down Vel Phillips to Wisconsin Avenue. So if you're coming back to the hotel, you can ride the buses or you can take that shuttle tonight back to Vel Phillips and walk Wisconsin through the secure area back to the hotel. So it's another option that you have tonight and tomorrow. And then the last thing that I have for you, I'm sure everybody's looking forward to convention, another big day. Looking forward to the VP nominee talk tonight, so who knows, it could go a little long. So Forte invites you to come back to the hotel tonight for a nightcap. We're going to have pie, root beer floats, some pizza, grab some stuff, some music. So hang out for a little while, head up to your room, whatever you'd like to do, but come enjoy. All right, have a good day.
How are we all doing this morning? I didn't hear you. How are we all doing this morning? That's where we want to be. So I want to introduce Cindy Werner to lead us in prayer, and Christy Orden to lead us in the pledge.
Good morning. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for watching over this place which we call America. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for your many blessings. We are thankful for your guiding hands of protection, not just over our convention, but especially over President Trump and his family. Oh God, continue to keep us safe, unify us, and guide us through this journey of life as we continue to fight for America today in order to have a free country tomorrow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, everyone. Please rise for our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and have a great day.
So, the guy's wife is here, but I am going to say anyway, I love this guy. All right? Just not that way. And we talked about Brian Stow yesterday, right? How he was the number 2 target when he ran the first time. Number 2 target in the whole country, right? This guy is the number 1 target in the House of Representatives. They have poured millions of dollars in against this guy already. Now, how many of you are from Western Wisconsin? I know there's a lot there. Okay, we'll start there. 1. Yeah. And we apparently did have bloodies in the lobby this morning. And so, the number 1 target in the whole country this cycle. And the thing that I like about this guy is that he always tells it like it is. And in a Washington, D.C., where a lot of us really believe it is the swamp, you need truth tellers. You need people who are willing to go out there and say what they think and do what it takes for their district. Now, Western Wisconsin's congressional district was in the other party's hands for 26 years. That is a long, long time. And so it was a target race for the Democrats 2 years ago, but they want to get rid of this guy so badly. They will do anything to get rid of him. And I mean like literally anything to get rid of him, which is why we gotta do everything to keep him. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Derek Van Orden.
Yeah. Most of my constituents, I was back at Reflection, are hitting bloody somewhere. I get it. They're rolling about 10. The other half is making hay right now. I mean, actually making hay with it. I want to clear something up just so you know. This week is about nominating President Trump and JD, getting them elected. The next 4 years is about making this country wealthy, safe, and strong again, and that's peace through strength, right? So I am not going to allow some glory-seeking, Hamas-loving Slipknot interfere with that. It ain't happening. So, and to be explicitly clear, what took place yesterday in no way, shape, or form compares to what happened to President Trump. He got shot in the head, and I've been hit harder from air coming out of a blow dryer. So we're not doing this. Free speech is free speech. When you cross that line and physically touch someone, you have committed a crime. And we will not tolerate this any longer. We have the same rights as these code pink buffoons and everybody else across the board as American citizens, don't we? Okay, I have called for anybody committing political violence to be prosecuted to the greatest extent of the law. That applies to code pink, not just us, right? Okay, that's what Trump was talking about. That's what he was saying. So let me tell you about that man. President Trump, when he took that bullet to the head, he hit the deck, as you do when you're getting shot at, and I know all about this. The next thing he did, his immediate response, was to stand up and raise his fist in defiance as blood was running down his head and telling us to fight. Okay? What he was talking about is not physical violence like some of these people may say. That's not what he was saying. What he was talking about is what took place yesterday. When your rights are violated, you fight for your rights. You fight for your freedom. You fight for your children. That's what he's talking about. Don't let them get that narrative. He wants us to peacefully fight for our freedom. Yes. And you're going to join me in doing so, are you not? Yes. All right. Can I tell him about... Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Orden! Okay. Some of you have heard this previously, but if you have not, I want you to hear it, and I want the press to hear it, and I want them to tell everybody. This is the President Trump that these people over the last 8 or 9 years don't want you to know about at all, because it will humanize him. And you can't make someone an enemy if they're human. So last year, coming up on the 19th, our daughter Sydney passed from cancer. Left us with 3 beautiful grandchildren and a widower who's a good man. The day after she died, I was in Chris, that's our son-in-law's basement, and I was feeling very, very low, obviously. And my phone rang, and it was a number from Florida. And I do not know a lot of people from Florida. But I answered it, and it was Donald Trump. Called me to say, Derek, I'm just praying for you, and I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about Sarah. I'm thinking about Sydney, her soul. I'm thinking about her husband, Chris. How are they doing? How are the children? So that was a phone call from a grandpa to another grandpa in the worst imaginable circumstances. It's a phone call from a father to another father in the worst possible circumstances. Nothing political. He knew I was going to back him 100%. He made that call because he wanted to reassure me and let me know, and Sarah know. I put it on speaker so she could hear it. He wanted us to know that he cares. That's the real Donald Trump. And I've talked to so many people that he has done exactly the same thing. I told this story at the women's breakfast yesterday, or lunch yesterday, and a woman came up to me and said this, my brother was dying of cancer, and she knew a guy in the political party, and she said, could you please get a hold of Donald Trump and ask him if he'll get a hold of us? And he wrote that man a letter that he kept next to his bedside in hospice, and he showed it to every single person that came up, saying, thank you very much for praying for you. That is the next president of the United States. So I am giving you mine and Sarah's permission to tell that story as widely as possible. As widely as possible. And let the people know that they should be reassured that you have a man that will literally die for you and stand up in defiance and tell you to fight. Because that's what we are called to do. We're called to fight for our freedom and for our nation. Here's how we get this done. You leave this convention probably sober up. I'm going to remove the probably. And you get to work. You guys are all the key players right here. All of them. You get out of this concrete jungle, look a little bit west of here, you're going to see some hills. Doesn't matter how long you stare at that hill, the cavalry is not coming over the hill. The cavalry is not coming over the hill because the cavalry is sitting here at this breakfast. You're it! Something happens, you're always pointing at everybody else. It should have been this guy or that guy or this. Nope, you're it. I'm telling you right now, you're it, and I am charging you. This is the senior chief. I am charging you to do your duty. So you leave out of here, you got to go to work, then you're going to start making phone calls, you're going to start knocking doors, you're going to start writing postcards, and you're going to get it done for America, all right? So God bless you and your families, and God bless the United States of America. God bless President Trump and J.D. Vance and their families also, and let's get it done!
Orden, everybody. I'm running out of candy bars to leave for people to get them jacked up in the morning. I've got a little problem. So we have a couple things we want to do, and I'll ask Chairman Farrow to join me up here, because you're the heavy on this, okay? I mean, I'm literally the heavy on most stuff, but you're the heavy on this stuff. So today, just to give you a little bit of an overview, and people ask me, you know, do we have a program for the night? And oftentimes we don't, because there's not really major changes in the program, but speakers, you know, I got to move this around or that or whatever. So the basic thing for today is we need butts in the seats over there at 4:30. And Paul's going to reemphasize this, because Paul and these are the two.
We're the thugs.
Yeah. You going golfing or what? What is this?
Either side of you like this?
Yeah. 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 where we are now. This is like This is like an old Iraqi news conference. I got the heavies here, and so yeah, exactly. So these guys, we're going to talk about this too, but we need butts in the seats over there at 4:30. Okay, the hard start is 5:30. And again, just to reemphasize this, and I know to us it's like, because we're running around, it's going to be, what, a couple degrees cooler today, I think, 77 or something. Yeah, it's not, well, of course, you're in shorts. Of course, it's beautiful out. So it'll be a little bit cooler today and a little less humid, so that'll be nice. But I'm gonna let these guys talk about why this is important. Not only that we're there on time, but for folks who are on the convention floor, if you're a delegate and you decide to leave, if you're running to the washroom or to go get, cheese curds or whatever you're doing, that's one thing. But if you disappear for an hour or hour and a half, that's another thing. Paul.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. So we're not really thugs, but boy, last night it felt like we were at times. One of the challenges we have, especially with our location on the floor, is cameras are on us all the time. Last night we had 23 seats open at one point. Now here's the thing. I got people upstairs who are dying to come down on the floor. And we want to make sure we've got the seats full. So if you have to leave for more than just a quick bathroom break, call your alternates. If you don't have the list, let us know. We'll get you a copy of it. But we've got to set it up. The easiest way we found it is to do transition right outside of 117 where we come in. When your alternate gets there, have them text you that they're there. You can go up, hand it off, and come right back down. Tonight is going to be the big one. Okay, JD's going to come out and speak. He's going to be there for a long time. Our cameras have been on us, on and off. We had a situation last night. It was the chair of Pennsylvania, right? Got cold caught by a camera. We've been telling everybody all night, all time that there's a lot of media running around. There's a lot of people running around. Well, all of a sudden, and Candy can attest to this because she actually got to sit in her chair and see things instead of just people walking by. We were able to move people out. Because that happened, our seats open up and cameras were watching us. We're Wisconsin, we're the host. The other cool thing is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, a lot of the delegations are coming over and saying thanks. You guys have done a phenomenal job so far for the convention, and they're giving us kind of high fives and as I said, I'll take credit for it, even though you guys worked your tail off. But it's our responsibility to be in the chairs. If you can't be there, no biggie, but let us know. So here's where I'm going to be a little bit of a person, as Mom would say. If you're not there tonight, I'm not letting you have your delegation tag tomorrow. Tomorrow's the big one, and we got to have it filled out. So I'm going to be the you know what, and that's what's going to happen, because we've got to have people there. We had a point where someone didn't make it last night at all, and the best way to describe it is I was sitting on the floor without my delegation pass so Gwen could come down, so I couldn't leave the floor because I got an orange hat. I figured they wouldn't mess with me. But we can't do that. We've got to make sure those seats are full the whole time.
Paul,
Yes?
we need the alternates to answer their phones, even though they don't know the numbers.
Yeah.
I called 4 people to get one, so I
Okay.
can't leave the floor.
So if you guys, we have the delegates, text, right? And we've got the list downstairs?
I know you know how to do that.
Okay. So Cody, what I've done is when I text out, I say, hey, it's Paul Farrell, looking to see if you can switch out and do it that way so that they've got your name so they know what's going on. All right? Yes, sir.
I noticed I'm getting about maybe a 5-minute delay on receiving the text messages. So I said, if I don't respond promptly, try calling the phone. The phone calls seem to be coming through quicker.
Yeah, I know they've got a number of boosters in the area, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of cell usage right now, especially with people sending out tweets and pictures of everything that's going on. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, My number is 715-207-8464.
We got the full sheet.
We have the list.
All right.
So after the incident with the chairman from Pennsylvania, there will be changes on the floor. The media is going to be much more restricted. A couple times Candy almost got knocked over. I actually stood by her to keep people from Candy not getting trampled. So there's going to be changes on the floor. The main, I'm wearing the mic that goes direct to the Trump people. They were mad last night because it just wasn't us in their seats. It was a lot of delegations. Half the problem with the chairman getting knocked cold by the camera was that delegates were up walking around. So this is a highly produced movie that we're a part of. Very highly produced. This is for the nation for us to shine. So we have to be in our seats to have this movie pulled off. Thank you. Yeah.
I sat up high last night. One thing I noticed, there's major speakers up there, aisles are full of people just talking. If I'm on news, I see that, it doesn't come across super well.
Yeah. So, I mean, Las Navitas was on the radio last night screaming, and he was not happy. So there's going to be changes today.
So he was saying that when he's looking up from up above, there's a lot of people in the aisles just talking and just clamoring. Trust me, we're trying to clamp down on where we can. We only have orange hats. We don't have the lime green hats. I was going to try to steal a lime green hat and then really run havoc on everybody. But we're just trying to see what we can do from our delegation to make sure we're working things through. Yeah.
I believe it was MSNBC went on and on and on about, God, this place is so empty. There's no one here. Look at all these empty sheets. It just kept going on. And they don't even have they're saying they don't even have enough people here. All this kind of stuff. It was awful.
I mean, the last thing we want is Rachel Maddow to be right. So,
okay.
If you guys have any other questions, Paul and I will be around. One last one.
On the positive note, Fox News upstairs threw about 15 footballs out to, I think it was the Wisconsin alternate section.
Right.
From Fox News.
Okay. Oh, cool. Awesome.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, everybody, for your cooperation.
All right.
So just to make sure there's clarity, I want to make sure everyone understands the message. Do we like open seats or full seats? Oh! Boom, got it. All right. See, saved it all right there. And don't tell me you want open. Don't tell me. This is... Go ahead. Yeah.
If the alternates are sitting in their alternate section and they see open seats on the floor, can they go wait by there, or is
No.
or something, or no?
Yeah, you got to get pulled in.
You gotta get called.
Yeah, you got to get pulled in.
Oh, okay.
And there's so much of it. But they're right. I mean, I'm in one of the front two seats, and I will just tell you, those are the two worst seats in the whole building. Because people are, and for anybody who's walked, Brian was sitting up by there yesterday, it's just exactly what they said. And the problem, actually, in fact, Candy and I were, where's Candy? Candy and I were talking about this last night. The media is not the problem. What the problem is people coming up, and I get it, right? And I do, I really do. Coming up and taking pictures, wanting to be up on the stage and all that, and I do get it. But so they clogged the thing up, to me anyway, or at least from our observation, the media is not the problem. The problem is all these people who leave their seats and come up towards the stage. And literally, Candy and I, they're literally practically falling on you. And, I mean, Candy's shorter now than she was at the start of the day yesterday. And I'm not saying it's a problem, but so we want everyone to be safe. We want everybody to see. We want you to be able to see and participate and hear what's going on. So if we can do that. The other thing I would say is, look, we are now halfway through this convention, okay? So I say that to remind people and I know folks are doing things to take pictures and to just kind of drink this whole thing in. Because it really, I mean, we're kind of in the middle of it now, and it's cool and it's great and everything else, but you know what? Tomorrow night it's over. So experience everything you can experience as part of this convention, including Paul Farrow interrupting me.
Because we're getting the sign. So tonight, we are not going to meet downstairs. I apologize, Tom and I have events that we have to be at. So if you're going to take the bus, get out the door, remember to go up to Broadway, get over there. 3 o'clock worked out really well. We got through the lines. They were short. If you're walking over, make sure you're in the seats by 4:30. We'll be there right about 4:30.
Apparently their first event is at tea time at the Brookfield Country Club. Yeah, my card's over there. That's just great. Next thing. I love this person I'm about to bring up. She is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. She represented Texas's 34th Congressional District in the U.S. House from 2022 to 2023, won in a special election, flipped a Democrat seat in a special election, was born in Mexico, and came into this country and became a citizen and became an active Republican. And she stole a seat the Democrats had held forever. And she won that June 22 special election. And of course, they came after her, you know, like crazy. And now I'm proud to say she's running again to get back in Congress. I cannot say enough about this person, and we had her speak at convention last year, and we just love this person here in Wisconsin. Please join me in welcoming Representative Myra Flores.
Good morning, buenos dias. All I needed with that introduction is a mariachi. That would have done it. Next time, we gotta bring the mariachi. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Honestly, I feel like at home. I was here about a year ago, and y'all treated me like I was a part of, your family. So I'm forever grateful. I'm definitely always coming back to Wisconsin. I have just so much love for y'all, and a lot of people. Thank you. And a lot of people said, why are you going to Wisconsin? How does that help you, in South Texas? And the reason why is because my election isn't my election, it's our election. And if I win, we win. And we're all in it together. And the future of my children is in your hands. Too much is at stake. And this country is truly the greatest country in the world. If someone like myself, that was born in Burgos, Tamaulipas, Mexico, comes here to the United States, works in the cotton fields. I started working in the cotton fields at 13 years old because both my parents were migrant workers, so we moved a lot growing up. And at 13 years old, I started working alongside my parents, and they instilled in me strong conservative values to always put God, family first, and to work hard. And those values are in me. It's in our nature. And this country just gave me so many opportunities. Of course, I did not want to work in the cotton fields for the rest of my life, right? Who does? And so my dad said, here in this country, if you work hard, you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to. So I graduated high school, continued my education, became a respiratory care practitioner, worked with children, worked with the elderly community. I'm married to a Border Patrol. He's been in Border Patrol for about 15 years now. I have 4 amazing children, and I've accomplished the American dream, and I want that American dream for all of us. A lot of people think that when I became a member of Congress, that's whenever I accomplished the American dream. Let me tell you, that is really not the American dream. I had accomplished the American dream prior to that. I ran to protect the American dream. That's why we do it. We're all here, the American dream. We don't have to become members of Congress to accomplish the American dream. It's really not really something I want to, motivate people, but at the same time, I have to say that we need more of us in Congress, more of us that resonate with the everyday American, because I was told that I didn't have the qualifications to run for Congress. So, Myra, you were born in Mexico, you're in the medical field, you've never been involved in politics, because I literally just woke up and said, I'm running for Congress. Literally. I said, why not? And I said, well, the problem is, weren't you born in Mexico? I don't think you can run. I said, I Googled it. Google says I can. Yes, you're right. It's never happened before. But can you imagine if we take that away from the Democrats? Well, I did. And I have to say, though, God only allowed me to see this much. I have to say, because I was like, I got this. I'm going to do this. It's so easy. And then when I got in there, I was like, oh, God, I just had to keep swimming. I was already way in there. I think God didn't allow me to see so much because I think it would have freaked me out. But I'm so glad that I, trusted in Him and that I decided to run. Because of that, I became the first Mexican-born congresswoman ever elected in Congress. We made history. No one can take that away from us. And so I'm forever grateful for that, and that they can never say that they elected the first Mexican-born congresswoman. They can never say that. We took that away from them, and that's exactly one of the main reasons why, because I know it burns them. I know it does. And every time I speak Spanish, it just burns them more. Everybody tells me, Myra, why do you speak Spanish? Everybody speaks English here. And I'm like, you don't understand. It bothers them. I know it does. Because I was actually told one time, why is she speaking in the floor in Spanish? Oh, well, I thought you were for the Hispanic community. So it would bother them when I would speak in Spanish in the floor. And I loved it. I enjoyed it so much. And that was one of the reasons why, I'm a part of this. I know they hate it. They cannot, say anything else. They say they support women. They say they support, the Hispanic community. Look, I was born in Mexico, and yet they hate me. As soon as I got elected, there were like 4 deportations. They were like, send her back to Mexico. We do not need these people here. We do not need these people here. But that's what it takes for them to be for, deportation. Because I am all for deporting people that are here illegally in the country. But I'm an American. They're not sending me back anywhere. They're not sending me back. I'm a proud American. I love this country. I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of my culture. I'm proud of my values. People always say, how can you vote? How can you vote Republican? Weren't you born in Mexico? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't know if you know this, but we're raised conservative, very conservative. The reason why many Hispanics vote Democrats is because they've been lied to. They've been manipulated. They've been told that the Democrat Party is the party of the poor, and that the Republican Party is the party of the rich. I have to agree, they are the party of the poor. All they do is create poverty. They're great at it. They are great at it. So, I'm like, you're right. They are all about poverty. We are all about prosperity. But I have to admit, I grew up, in a Democrat household with conservative values. But my dad always voted Democrat. But I remember a cousin of mine telling me, Myra, why are you voting Democrat? We were raised the same way. I said, well, I don't know, my dad said. I literally, like my dad said. And she's like, well, do some research about what each party actually stands for and come back to me. And this was back in 2010. And I told Elda, my cousin, I said, okay, I'll do my research. Came back, and I was like, I'm Republican. And my values are more important than any political party. So at that moment, I was like, I'm Republican. Why? Because the values that were instilled in me by my grandparents, my parents, are way more important. So for me, it was an easy decision. But I remember telling my dad that I was Republican, and my dad was like, no, we're not. We're Democrats. And I said, no, Dad, you raised me as a Republican. You don't even know it. You raised all of us as Republicans. He's like, no, we're Democrats. He had a hard time, understanding. And 2016 was a difficult election for him because I was able to convince my entire family, 99.9, to vote Republican, except my dad in 2016. But, under the Trump administration, we had secure borders, we had a strong economy, his business was booming, and in 2020, he voted Republican for the first time. But he actually, but I have to admit, he did it like this, like, he didn't want to. He was like, I have to admit, his policies are good, but the Biden administration has done such a horrible job that now he's like full-blown, hardcore Republican. So he's out there advocating for conservative values, for the party, growing the party, because at the end of the day, if we want to grow the Republican Party, we got to get more Hispanics in the Republican Party. There is no future in the Republican Party if we do not get Hispanics to join us. If the Republican Party wants to continue growing, we have to continue making investments in the Hispanic community. And look, we're conservative by nature. It's who we are. Our values are it's American values. And I really do think that it's our values that are going to save this country in November. And I am so proud, to see so many Hispanics joining our party, joining President Trump. And it's just an amazing thing to do, but it's because really the Democrat Party has abandoned our values. They have. They're not the same party anymore. I walked away from the Democrat Party, but my dad says that they walked away from him. He's like, they walked away from me. I know you walked away from them, but they walked away from me. And that's how many people feel. So I just feel that, this election is truly the most important election of our lifetime. It really is. And the future of my children is in your hands, Wisconsin. It is. And that's why I'm here. Because I believe that this country is truly worth fighting for. And yes, I wasn't born here, but I love this country with all my heart. There is nowhere else I want to be at. Like, I've been here practically all my life since I was 6 years old. Till this day, I remember the day that I came here and being excited to be here. 6 years old, and that's how impactful that moment was for me, that I still remember coming here and looking at the American flag and being excited to be here. I still remember telling my friends at 6 years old that I was coming to the United States, to el otro lado, the other side, and the children just being excited. We in Mexico, know that here in America, it's like everything is possible, and we have the United States up here. So us as Americans, we have to also embrace this country. I was told a few days ago by a friend of mine, actually a few weeks ago, another fellow Republican said, Myra, how do we get, those who immigrate to this country to assimilate? I was like, well, we first have to get our own to assimilate. Seriously. There's so many people that were born here, raised here, and have no love for this country. So we have to show that love for our own country. We have to, set an example. Because at the end of the day, who is putting in the policies that are destroying this country? It's people that were born here and raised here. Okay? It's not people like myself that immigrated to this country that are putting in place. As a matter of fact, so many people like myself that immigrated to this country, we came here to work hard to bless this country. Okay, so it's so important that we instill that in our children, to be proud of this country, to be proud of being Americans, and to show that to others so when they move here, they also want to be a part of it. So, that was my response. He's like, yeah, you're actually right. And I was like, yeah. And again, the people that are destroying our country with the policies are people that were born here and raised here. And it blows my mind because they take it for granted. They don't know what it's like to have to leave your native country for better opportunities. And look, I'm for border security, but a lot of people think that if you're pro-border security, you're anti-immigrant. And that's not true. I am for legal immigration because illegal immigration is funding a cartel. It's a dangerous journey where women and children get raped. Why would anyone encourage that? If you actually care about these people, then you wouldn't be incentivizing illegal immigration. You would be incentivizing legal immigration. So it's so important that we allow our Border Patrol agents to enforce the laws that they put in place. They literally put in place these laws. So allow our Border Patrol agents to enforce the laws, secure the border, keep our families safe, and for us to prosper. we cannot prosper if we have lawlessness in the border. And that's what we have right now. Lawlessness. There is no law and order right now. So even though, yes, I immigrated here, but that doesn't mean that I'm okay with what's happening at the border. And most Hispanics are not okay with what's happening at the border either. I mean, we want a secure border. We want a strong economy. We want the same things, all of you, because at the end of the day, we're all Americans, okay? And it doesn't matter the color of our skin, where we're from. We're all Americans, you know? We all bleed red. And in November, I want to end it with this. In November, we don't need a red wave. We don't need a blue wave. We need a red, blue, and white wave, okay? We need an American wave. That's what we need. And we need, of course, you need me back in Congress, obviously. But we also need to get President Trump reelected. We need his policies. And I thank God that he's okay. But what happened on Saturday really changed everything. You know, one moment we're here, one moment we're not. And thank God he's still here with us. I really do believe that it was our prayers that protected him. So it's so important that we stay in prayer every single day, because this world is temporary. It really is. And God is eternity. So it's so important that we stay in prayer every single day and allow God to guide us in everything that we do. Because I really do believe that the reason why we're in this mess is because so many people have put God aside. And it's time that we put God back in the center of everything, because this is his universe. This is his country. And without him, we're nothing. So let's put God and family and country first. God bless you. Thank you, Wisconsin. I love you so much. Thank you.
How much do we love Myra Flores, everybody? I want to tell you, and I want to tell all of you, because you and I have talked about this several times before. It's announced late this week. It's being announced this week, and we have a grand opening of our new Hispanic Outreach Center on the south side of Milwaukee. And you're absolutely right on this point too, because because politics generally is a business of arithmetic anyway, of addition rather than subtraction. And I remind folks, as I did yesterday, Congresswoman, school choice was born a couple of miles south of here in this city by Tommy Thompson. And so as we look at that and we look about how to reach the people, and I was thinking about that when you were talking about the importance of but outreach broadly. Outreach is not just talking and showing up every 2 years. You know, because you only show up every 2 years. Who believes anybody who walks into your life every 2 years and leaves a couple weeks later?
That's a Democrat.
That's a Democrat, exactly. So, well put. And so, we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna have a Myra Flores conference room in that headquarters. And the reason we want to do that, and she's like one of us now, right? So not only are we going to do that, but we do it because you came out of nowhere, and you told the story. She came out of nowhere and ended up a member of the United States House of Representatives because of people like us in Texas, and frankly, and you don't take enough credit for it sometimes because that's the way you are, but because the force of her will. She decided she was going to do it, and she did it, and that's important.
I just want to say that, you know, the first week I was in Congress, I was like, how did I get here? And then I was like, how did they get here? Let me tell you something. We all have the qualifications to be a member of Congress. And I realize that we need more of us in Congress. We need more of the everyday American that understand the struggle, what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck to run this country. You know, we have enough of them. We need more real people like us to start running for country. So don't ever allow anybody to tell you that you don't have the qualifications, because look at Joe Biden. How many years? That's what they call qualification. These people that have the qualifications are the ones destroying our country. So screw that. You know, screw that. We need people like us that love this country, that have the work ethic to do this. So run for Congress if you can. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Myra Flores, everybody. No, she's terrific. She's terrific. So one last note before I bring up our next speaker. This must be the week for it. It's your birthday too, Chairman Farrell? Yeah. Paul Farrell's birthday, everybody. There you go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you. Well, just, you know, for clarification, because I know his brother Peter as well, and he says the same thing about you. And that denial deal. So thanks for being here on your birthday. Cory Mills, he is an American businessman. He's been a member of the United States House of Representatives for Florida's 7th Congressional District since 2023. So he's the new guy. He's worked in various organizations as a security specialist and a business executive. He served from 1999 until 2004 in the U.S. Army, where he was a member of the 82nd Airborne Division. He's got such a fascinating background, and he is an inspiring guy. I mean, he's the type of person, and I was thinking about it before, he's the type of person that we need to step up, not because they want to be like in politics their whole life and everything else, but they come out of whatever they are doing because they want to step up, like other people we know, and save this country. And I think that is an important message for this week. I think we all would agree that is an important message for this week, one that we will hear about more tonight, right? And tomorrow as well. Please, everyone, join me in giving a big Wisconsin welcome to Congressman Cory Mills.
You should have held your applause. I haven't said anything yet. It might not be that good. So, as they were indicating, look, I'm a brand new freshman in Congress. And so for a lot of you, it's probably one of the first times that you've heard me speak or that you've met me or been introduced. So I want to give a bit of a background first so you understand why I vote the way I vote, why I believe in the things that I believe in, why I feel it's so important for us to preserve our constitutional rights, liberties, and truly fight for limited government and limited involvement in our lives. You know, I came from not the typical upbringing, and this is where I share a lot of the experiences that I can appreciate so much. The nomination of Senator J.D. Vance as our vice president. You know, I came from a very similar upbringing where my mom and dad both fought with drug addiction, with substance abuse. My dad spent over 30 years in prison. My mom spent almost 7.5. I bounced house to house until I was about 9 years old when my grandparents finally adopted me. And my grandparents were simple people. They believed in the ideas of money doesn't define the love, values, and faith in your homes. But I went from having a broken home to understanding the nuclear family, the thing that we're all trying to preserve and protect and that the left is out to destroy. And so when I grew up, there was times, I can remember in 1993, where my family lived on $6,800 approximately for a whole year. And there was many meals of white rice, tomato gravy, and cornbread, staples to keep you full, and we would hunt and fish, and it was one of those families where it was cheaper for us to go buy a $120 deep freezer and put it in our carport than to be able to shop for all the meats. And so you learned the appreciation for everything that you have. And I felt so grateful, because it never felt like we did without, that I wanted to find a way to pay that forward. So I joined the United States Army, and as they talked about, served in the 82nd Airborne Division, was attached with the Joint Special Operations Command in Iraq. And between my military and my government experience, I worked with the State Department and the agencies. I had spent almost 7 years in Iraq, 3 years in Afghanistan, Kosovo, Pakistan, North Somalia, was involved with our team by roadside IEDs twice in 2006, and was a proud Bronze Star recipient. It was an honor to be able to wear that American flag and to be able to fight for this nation's constitutional values, to understand what it truly means to swear an oath, to protect and defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But the reasoning for our involvement cannot be about interventionism. It cannot be about not prioritizing the lives, the treasures, and the safety of America by involving ourselves in these endless wars that we have no business being in to begin with. And so as a person who had spent so much time deployed, one of my things is that I look at what President Trump has done, very similarly to President Reagan and its efforts to have a peace through strength understanding that warfare is not about just kinetics of bomb to bomb, gun to gun, bullet to bullet. But we've been involved in wars with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea from an economic, resource, supply chain, and other types of non-kinetic influence operations for decades. But you have what Roosevelt had used to warn us about, which is this military-industrial base that loves the idea of interventionism for its own stock share prices, which is why I firmly stand by, I co-sponsor, and feel that we must ban stock trading for spouses and members of Congress and the Senate. We have to start prioritizing Americans. Now, I'm the only member of Congress who donates 100% of my salary back to a woman, child, veteran charity in my district. Wow. But the reason for this is that I truly believe in the ideas that it should be about public service, not personal enrichment. I look back to our founding fathers and what they were standing for. They were all successful business owners who understood that going and serving should be a sacrifice, and that they were eager not to make politics a career, but to return to their successful businesses in agriculture, as a distillery, as a tobacco harvester. And see, it's almost become as if the way that women's sports is a plan B for failed male athletes, that politics is a plan B for failed private sector business owners. It's true, I hate to say it. But I also believe in the ideas that we have to get back to doing what it was that our founding fathers grew the principles upon, which is being a statesman and a representative, not a politician. There's more than enough of those sitting in Congress today. And I can tell you that while I have been a registered Republican my entire life, I identify as a constitutional conservative. Because I feel that our Republican Party, just like the Democrats, have moved away from the key and core values of what it means to be a constitutionalist. And those 7 articles, 27 amendments, is what governs our powers and authorities that's granted by you, we the people. And we have to get back to the ideas of not celebrating these members of Congress. They're public servants. If you wouldn't celebrate the people who work in your municipalities, then you shouldn't celebrate the members of Congress who are serving for you. But what you should expect is 3 things: accessibility, accountability, and transparency of every elected official. And we cannot neglect, any longer the significant importance of our down-ballot votes. These are individuals who touch your lives every single day, whether it comes to our school board, which has been completely hijacked and indoctrinated, whether it comes to our importance of our mayors, our commissioners who develop our cities, or in some cases overdeveloped, when it comes to the ideas of our state legislators who have been disenfranchised since 1913 and our 17th Amendment. How many people are familiar with the 17th Amendment? Not a lot of hands going up, getting worried here. You know, how many people remember when our U.S. Senator used to be elected by our state representatives? And the brilliance behind that was that it enabled a checks and balance between our federal government and our state and individual rights, which is governed by our 10th Amendment. And in 1913, they were very brilliant in their political rhetoric to say, why should politicians elect politicians? Now, when you say it that way, I think all of us can look at it and go, gosh, that's a great question, right? What they didn't understand, however, is that that was the true check and balance and the brilliance of maintaining federal and state rights, because there was oversight there. Because a state legislator could pick up the phone and say, hey, Senator, do you like your job? Because if you vote to disenfranchise me as a state legislator, you're not going to have it for very long. The minute that the 17th Amendment passed, you saw this hockey stick-like trajectory of growth. Bureaus, agencies, departments, D.C. became this mega hub. And think about what also happened in that very same year, which is the 16th Amendment of federal income tax. They wanted to take money out of the American people's pocket to fund their agenda, then take power away from the individual states to bring to D.C. You see, I'm one of those individuals that believe that we have to return the powers back to the states. We have to return the powers back to the individual Americans. And we have to limit the federal government's involvement, because the private sector should be driving policy, not policy driving our private sector and over-regulating us to where we can't be competitive. And you see, I'm one of those individuals that I used to sign the fronts of checks, not the backs of checks. I know that the real job creators, and we've all heard this shovel-ready job nonsense, that the real job creators are our private sector, and the brilliance of America, the innovation, the technology, the capabilities for us to thrive ahead, to defeat our adversaries lies in the actual youth that we're suppressing whenever they get into the private markets. Now, when I talked about being a statesman, I talk about action over rhetoric. You know, since I've come into Congress, I'd actually, in 2021, during the Afghan botched withdrawal, we had Americans that were being abandoned and left behind to die. Not to mention, let us never forget, even though Joe Biden, who in between ice cream and sniffing children, and his 8-to-4 work style, sitting in the basement, he has forgotten our 13 brave heroes who sacrificed their lives in Afghanistan on 2 different occasions that he could have represented and supported them during the State of the Union. Let us never forget that we should all, every single morning, wake up and live our lives in a way that's worthy of the sacrifices by so many that's allowed us to be this free republic. And we are, in fact, a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. Article 4, Section 4 states that. But when I saw Americans being left behind, I had a call from Congressman Ronnie Jackson, who is an amazing friend of mine, who's an amazing friend of the president. And he said, I have a woman and 3 children, born and raised Amarillo, Texas natives, who are being left behind in Afghanistan. They were already being hunted down at this point. And I remember I called a couple of friends of mine who were in the special operations community. We put a team together, and I told Ronnie, I said, give me a couple of days, let me see what I can do. When I finally got a team together and we had trained and we had prepared what we were going to do and kind of put a concept of operations together, I told Ronnie, I said, we'll get them, and I'm not coming home until we do. Now, when I went over, we flew in a November tailcraft, which means that it's an American aircraft with Americans in it, with American pilots to save Americans. We had approved PPRs for our landings. We'd already done all of our coordinations. And we were actually in the final landing approach with wheels down, getting ready to come in, rescuing 28 Americans. We got told to do a go-around.
Excuse me?
I thought, okay, that's probably typical. You have what they call gray tails, your U.S. aircraft that are on the ground. It's C-130s, your C-5s, your C-17s. They kept us in a racetrack for quite a while, and it started to become, well, now your PPR is not approved. So we called and got another one. Then the second one was disapproved. Then we got another one. Then the third got disapproved. Then we got another one. And when they finally realized that they couldn't shut us down from getting these PPR approvals, They then threatened to scramble an F-16 to do a flyover to actually intimidate us, to try and threaten to shoot us down. This is an American tail aircraft with American operators and veterans there to rescue Americans. Eventually we got so low on fuel that they had actually even stated, you can be cleared for a emergency landing, but when you land, we'll be looking to detain you, which, God bless you and good luck to you. But I can tell you, I'm one of those that I'd rather be carried by 6 than, judged by 12, so let's go ahead and play that game all day. But we ended up diverting. I remember we had to split the teams. We were still finding a way. I promised Ronnie I would never leave this family behind, and there was numerous attempts. We tried to look in through Azerbaijan, in through Tajikistan, in through other areas, and we split our teams, go into the UAE, and at one point it was only down to me and one other individual that was going down to the Tajik border, down by Badakhshan, trying to look at permissible crossing environments. And it was great because when I finally found it, we called our team and said, look, we have a way in, here's what you have to do, and it was quite an effort. After 11 days, moving from this family from Kabul to Mazar-e-Sharif, getting them on an aircraft that could have been flown out, had 100 Americans on it, approved by the State Department, approved by the Department of Defense, approved by the Taliban, funded by Mercury and Glenn Beck's foundation. At the last minute when we went to go take off, the State Department said, we need to re-vet your manifest, and grounded the aircraft. Thereby not only stopping the aircraft, but having it seized and entrapping Americans once again. We then looked at, this is going to have to be a ground operation. But after 11 days, I can remember we were sitting there, I had memorized the passports, the dates, the children, where they lived, got all the information, and we finally had convinced one of the Taliban commanders that was sitting there, Malawi Hamza, that I was the husband and the father, and that I speak fluent Arabic, but I had a guy with me who speaks fluent Dari, Pashto, Tajik. And so we convinced that it was him, he was a former operator with the Marine Corps, that he was actually the interpreter. And when we went to go across, and we finally gotten all the approvals, and we had made this negotiation, they were going to shut it down. And the great thing about sat phones that a lot of people don't know, that's unique to your average cell phone, is that when you call from your US cell phone, it'll always just add a +1. But with sat phones, whatever the original number is, it just basically pulls it over at a plus whatever, +8, plus this. And we convinced them through a shell game of phones that we were part of the Qatari negotiation, or that this family was part of that, to ensure that if we got them out or we didn't get them out, that would determine the full withdrawal and maintaining of troops outside of Afghanistan. We were getting no help from the U.S. government. In fact, we were getting the opposite of help. But after being able to negotiate this, I remember that he was talking to one of the Tajik government guys, and Yusuf kind of looked at me with his eyes about the size of $50, and I thought, well, this should be good. And he says, hey, they're telling us that there's about a 50% chance when we go across the bridge to get them that they'll end up just killing all of us. To which I responded, those sound like pretty decent odds. Apparently he didn't find it as funny. He had a lot more to live for. I eventually knew I was going to run for Congress. Life was over already, so I'm good. And again, as we know, when you measure out your pros and cons, pros being positive things that move in progress and cons being negative things, which is Congress, you learn very quickly to go ahead and adapt. But we went over, and I remember we had gotten a hold of Miriam and her 3 children. I had Miriam obviously on my side and Yusuf's side. But after 11 days, after continual perseverance, after continual efforts to thwart what we're trying to do, maybe your A plan doesn't work, maybe your B plan doesn't work, maybe your C plan doesn't work. But we've never been a nation who gives up easily. We've never been a nation unwilling to fight for our own. And we're never defined simply by one person who sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but by the greatness of American exceptionalism. And after 11 days, we had conducted the very first successful overland rescue. And I remember looking at Miriam and saying, when we got to about the 50% point on that bridge, and saying, you're safe and we're going to get you home now. That's the type of thing that we have to continue to fight and be about. And now you'd have thought that would have been the only time I would have had to have done such a thing. Fast forward to October 7th, the devastating tragedy that occurred in Israel, where we had 1,200 people innocently slaughtered, raped, taken hostage. And I knew once again that the Biden administration was going to do absolutely nothing, not to just defend our allies, but to get Americans, because there was a pattern of abandonment that had already started. I looked at Byron Donalds, who's my closest friend in Congress. Amazing, by the way. I'm looking to have him as the next governor of Florida, the free state, the greatest state, got to tell you. So I remember I looked at him on October 10th, and I looked at my chief, and I said, you know, I can't sit here knowing we still have Americans trapped. And my team had jumped into action. We'd put together, and I can tell you, we didn't call just Republican offices. We didn't call just those who would vote in a certain manner. We called every single office and said, if you're a blue passport holder, if you're an American, it's not about who you voted for, who you supported. You deserve to have your government look out and provide for you, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And by October 11th, this is where my Arabic finally came into play, because it's so useful there in the great state of Florida. But I was able to fly into Jordan knowing that I had multiple bridges I could cross and be able to go into Israel through a ground operation and be able to pull out. And I knew I had Tiberias, Nazareth, Haifa as my first day. I was going to then hit the West Bank area into Jerusalem and be able to try and continue to look at operations. And I got on the ground and I just immediately flew. I said, I'm going now. I put together a signal chat and we ended up taking off. And by the time I hit the ground, I still had hours before my team was going to get there, but I had other people across the border that was going to come meet me. And there's multiple bridges. And so you have King Hussein Bridge, Sheikh Hussein Bridge, and it kind of just Al-Arabi all the way through. And so I told the team, we're coordinating, hey, meet me at Sheikh Hussein Bridge. Got it. You know, we're all on top of it. I get to Sheikh Hussein Bridge. I cross the bridge. I'm waiting. Everything's going really smoothly, which I should have been suspicious immediately. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm here. And they go, perfect. This is our vehicle. This is our positive identification. Send me my photo. I've got my backpack and a couple of other little things with me. And I'm like, that doesn't look like this location. I'm like, maybe it's further down. So I walk across the bridge a little further, and I said, guys, I'm really not seeing you. He said, trust me, we're right across King Hussein Bridge as soon as you get. I said, that's funny. Yeah, you mean Sheikh Hussein Bridge. You guys are messing with me, right? Like, JK, LOL, this is funny, got it. He says, no, we're at King Hussein Bridge. Now, I'm at Sheikh Hussein, which is about an hour and a half difference in its drive, and you have a moment where you think to yourself, you know what, I can go back, I can wait for my team to get here, we can redo this tomorrow, and I can guarantee a much more organized and basically a safer way of me doing this. But I also remember the fact that there's people who might not have another day. You know, serving a purpose that's greater than yourself is one of the greatest honors as well. And courage is contagious, and I truly believe that. And I decided to go across anyway. I found a taxi cab driver who spoke about that much Arabic, I spoke about that much Hebrew, and we had about that much of a discussion. However, if you ever hold an at-home or an in-conference Pictionary, I am the best at going, 3 words, go that way, we need to drive, turn the radio down, I want to go over here, we have to save the woman, let's go, it's in my heart, you're the best. So, I can Pictionary the hell out of this thing. Do not worry, I can be on your team too. But I remember that we ended up having them link up with us. I got to Tiberias, and when I say courage contagious, there was a young lady there named Silver Prout. And when I came in and I said, hey, listen, I appreciate everybody. They're sitting in the lobby, they're waiting, everyone's ready to go. They're right across from where Hezbollah had already started moving in, launching anti-tank missiles into certain areas, and they're in that north area that had been fought against for years. And I remember I looked at them, I said, hey, we're here, just want to let you guys know. Little caveat to that is, remember that armored vehicle and all those people that were going to come with me, things like that? Yeah, it's me, and I'm in a taxi cab. And you could see some of the eyes of them draw, and Silver Prout said, I know who you are. I know your story from Afghanistan. If you tell me I'm going to be safe, I'll come with you. And the minute she said that, you saw everyone else start to go, well, what is the story? And they build confidence in the fact that courage is contagious and that there's someone who's going to act, not just talk about what I could have done, what I should have done, what I would have done, which many of us in this room have done as being the silent majority to get us to the point where we are. By the time I got to Nazareth, our team was there. We were able to get everything that was going. It started running so smoothly, but it took that one woman who I felt that had really lifted my soul to say, you know what, this is why I'm here. That day, October 11th, we were able to get our first 32 Americans out. The next day, 45 Americans out. The next day up to 96 by ground, 159 by air, 255 Americans safe before Joe Biden even lifted a finger or even sent a plane to help our Americans. And I used to always say my catch line, because I knew that I could shame this administration into doing their job, is that if Joe Biden's unwilling to do his job, then I'll step up and do it for him. That has to be the mindset of every American. That's right. You know, I feel like that infomercial, but wait, there's more. Fast forward to Haiti, the tragic ending of what we saw with our missionaries and others who are trying to take care of them. And I knew once again that the Biden administration would do nothing to try and help them. So once again, I coordinated my team and flew over there, and we were able to, through night operations, utilizing a helicopter, landing in a 100 by 100 backyard, or an open soccer field, or behind a church, or somewhere where the orphanages were. We were able to get 23 Americans out of Haiti, 59 children out of Haiti. And once again, this is an administration who said, from the spokesperson of the State Department, Miller, we have no plans or intent to rescue Americans. And guess what? After we did that, they started sending planes. They started saving Americans. So it takes one individual who can be a doer, who can show action and not talk, who can actually go out and say that I represent the American people, that I fight for the American people, and none of these things, whether it was Afghanistan, whether it was Israel, or whether it was Haiti, would have happened if we had a stronger commander-in-chief, and that's what we need when we talk about President Donald J. Trump and Vice President Vance. Now, unfortunately, they're going to put me out of a secondary job, but I'm okay with that. The reason I share these stories with you isn't to try and promote myself and my accolades, isn't to try and go ahead and say, wow, look at me, but to understand that every single one of us have a way. It's not only just through our treasures, it's through our actions, through our times. It's like the preambles that they talk about when you are dedicating and willing to commit your life, your name, your treasures to be able to save this constitutional republic. And I can tell you right now that from a foreign policy perspective, I used to be a geopolitical analyst. I've published over 61 different articles that you can still find today if you ever want to be absolutely bored to the hilt. I was blessed to be a part of the Trump administration as a SecDef advisor under Chris Miller and work at the Pentagon to be able to help to strengthen our military, which is being disenfranchised now at 41,000 in recruitment deficit, 8,600 who are unconstitutionally purged, who should be allowed back in our military, back in service, full back pay, full benefits, and be allowed to serve our government, not serve a political agenda. We must get back to understanding that there's only three priorities of all elected officials, and it's very simple. America, Americans, and American interest. Zelensky didn't vote me into office. Ukraine isn't my priority. Securing our borders, stopping angel families, and stopping the expenditures that have gotten us to an economical deficit is where we're at. This is about getting back to President Trump's 2016 America First agenda, but we're doing it even better with the Agenda 47. And I can tell you with confidence that we will not only be successful in this election, but we'll be successful in saving this republic once again by strengthening our military, by ensuring that the stop of these no-bail reform, soft-on-crime, catch-and-release policies in the blue states that are endangering the lives of safe Americans that were once safe, now not, can return. That our economy is strong once again, that we can get back to being not just energy independent, but energy dominant. That is the global currency. It's not the dollar, the baht, the dinar, the yen. This is all being propped up by the ideas of the petro fiat. But energy, not relying on adversarial nations and having them stay at bay, our allies who have always relied on us, who we can be there for, like Israel and its rights to defend itself against terrorist organizations like Hamas, and not being scared, but rising in defiance and courage, the way President Trump did Saturday, July 13th, where he didn't stand in fear. He stood and said, fight, fight, fight. And that's fight for the American people. That's fight for our Constitution. That's fight for our liberties. And if he's willing to stand in defiance in the eyes of death, knowing that a millisecond or millimeter difference would have changed the outcome of an attempt and an assassination, then every single one of us in this room should be motivated and powered by the fact that it is our chance to support a president who doesn't need this job, who didn't have to get his family put under the scrutiny of, who's now tried to be silenced and censored, then indicted and imprisoned, and now attempted to be assassinated. This is the time for us to come together. This is a time like yesterday with unification of our party to save our republic, to set our differences aside. But this is also a time which I truly believe that what saved President Trump was divine intervention. And this is why I also strongly support and advise that we do not need DEI in our military. We do not need CRT in our schools. We do not need ESG in our corporations. We need GOD back in our communities, back in our lives, and back under the Constitution that was under one God that we would serve. You want to call me a theology, you want to say, and I can tell you one real quick thing. I don't need to go outside and be a meteorologist to know it's sunny and that it's shining. Just like I don't need to be a biologist to accept the fact that there are only two genders, man and woman. It doesn't matter what you cut, nip and tip. The bottom line is that we need to understand the chromosomal setup, and that Plan B for sports, for women's sports, needs to be protected under Title IX, and the president's committed to that. He's committed to securing our borders. He's committed to make us safe again, wealthy again, prosperous again. And the greatest part about President Trump is he is here to make America great again. Let us be people of action that don't talk about would've, could've, should've. Let us always show that courage is contagious. Let us understand that America, Americans, and American interests is worth fighting for. And let us understand that it is always darkest before the light. We will rise like never before, but we must don the armor of God, as they say in Ephesians 6. And if you look at what time President Trump was shot, it was at 6:11. Go read Ephesians 6:11, and you will understand exactly why he has been saved and why we continue to move forward. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you, to be able to share part of my story, to let you get to know me, what I stand for, what my values are. But also rest assured that President Trump will not be fighting alone, that there are many of us in the House of Representatives who will continue to fight for we the people, who understand what the real role of government is, who understands rule of law, and that we must ensure to stop the lawfare of the Department of Injustice, and that we must put the American people first once again. And I can promise you I will always fight for we the people. I will always fight for you. And even though you don't live in Florida's 7th District, if you believe in your freedoms, your liberties, your Constitution, and your rights of faith, then I will be your representative. I thank you. God bless you. God bless these United States.
Thanks, Congressman. In addition to being an inspiring guy, and boy, what a life history, right? I mean, it's like whatever, but I was thinking when he was up there, I was like, man, I am not going to mess with that guy. Paul, if you need some help on the whip thing, I think we got to... So, Paul, I want you to remind us one more time what times people are supposed to do what they're doing.
In your seats at 4:30.
In your seats at 4:30. You can pick your credentials up in the lobby after this. And I say to you, too, again, I can't emphasize enough, people, two things. Number one, J.D. Vance's night, right? We'll have a lot of great speakers tonight, but this is certainly his night, and I keep saying to reporters when we go, I keep getting asked, well, this, and you know what? I gotta say, last night, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley went up and did what they were supposed to do, and I know, and a lot, folks are with Trump and everything, but I'm just going to be honest, that's hard to do. When you run for office and you have to go do that in front of a, crowd of 100 million people watching or whatever, I don't care what you do, it's hard to do. Personally, that's tough to do. So I was appreciative of what happened there last night. Finally, you are halfway through this experience. I'll say it again. You are halfway through this experience that you will never have again in your lives. not because you won't be a delegate or alternate or a guest at some point, but because we're entertaining the nation and the world at home here in Wisconsin. So I just think, I think about that a lot as I'm running around doing media and things like that. This is happening here, and it probably won't happen again. Well, so I want you to just pull and drink in this whole experience that we have, be good hosts, and remember, we're gonna come out of this unified, and the Democrats don't even want their nominee.
Right.
So finally we agree. We finally brought, who says we're not bipartisan? We don't want them, they don't want them, it all works. So let's go out and have a great day. Okay, it changed.
It just changed, yeah. I had just texted Brian and said I didn't need to make the announcement. However, if you have time right now, head down to the 3rd Street Market Hall. That's where we had the event the other night. Senator Johnson has just started interviews and a panel. He's leading a panel with his Joseph Project graduates today. So he would love to have your support. They started at 9:30, but they started with a video, and they said, please send everybody over there. So go into the Market Hall, and then you will turn to the left to the shuffleboard area, and Senator Johnson's staff will be there to get you upstairs into the venue. So please go support him. The address is 301 West Wisconsin Avenue.
You know Myra left.
It's right where our event was the other night.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's go get them, everybody.
Same place, same place.